stand and be sworn in by the clerk at this time.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated. Did everybody sign in the back?
I have not. I will.
Okay. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and proceed. Remonstrators have 15 minutes to present their opposition or objections. We're going to start with the petitioner. The petitioner has 15 minutes to present their case. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you and good evening, Madam President, members of the council. Joe Calderon, attorney with offices at 11 South Meridian, Indianapolis. I'm representing Meyer Plastics, Inc. With me tonight is Mr. Ralph Meyer and Andrew Morris. Andrew is the real estate broker on this transaction. Each of you should have a printout of a PowerPoint, which is a number of pages. I am absolutely happy to walk you through that in any fashion you'd like. I could go through page by page and explain the whole deal, or we could, what we would do if this case was being heard downtown with no known remonstrance and city planning support, is what we call expedite it, which basically is a very brief summary in almost a question and answer session. So it would be, I'll defer to the council as to their pleasure.
So I've polled the council and we would like the expedited version, please.
Very good, thank you. Well, Meyer Plastics, this is one of those cases where it's absolutely a pleasure to present a rezoning case. Some of them are pretty tough these days, but Meyer Plastics is planning on relocating to Lawrence at the corner of 59th and Sunnyside. That property is currently zoned commercial. I actually was involved in that rezoning back in 2004. It was supposed to be a movie theater deal. It never happened. Meyer Plastics is in the business of doing about anything you can imagine with plastics. They do some distribution, they do custom cutting, they do design engineering, and they do some manufacturing. Anything from simple display cases to much more complicated sheets. So with that, they need an industrial classification. We are seeking I3 for 9.5 acres. The balance of the property, about 4 acres, will remain commercial. We have a site plan that is making its way through the process. We've been obviously working with planning, and I think Mr. Meyer has been working with the city administration in terms of everything from infrastructure to incentives, et cetera, to relocate here. There will be about 80 employees to start, with an expansion upwards of 100. So we think that this use and the employment will be beneficial to the existing retail that's long and nearby, and we hope that you do too. So with that, if you have any questions, we're here to answer. And if there's anything that I didn't touch base on, I'm happy to go through that as well.
Any question from council members?
I had one question. Excuse me. This is just for clarity's sake. I'm looking at the map here. There's a red line around, I believe that would be the proposed construction site. I noticed, though, you didn't come all the way to the corner.
Correct.
Any particular reason why?
Yes, the balance of the property going to the corner, if you're at this is a page, slide 3, I think.
Yeah.
That is the balance that will remain commercial for now. So we're not rezoning, so that will stay commercial. Mr. Meyer only needs to build his building on the north parcel, if you will, the parcel that we're rezoning. So this will remain marketable as a potential commercial site for now.
Is Mr. Myers purchasing that piece of the whole entire property?
Purchasing the whole entire property.
So then, okay, so that's good. So my question really kind of leaned towards he will be keeping the maintenance up on that that open field portion.
Yes.
That solves your issue, right? Okay, that's what I was trying to link that all together. Great, thank you.
Great, thank you for the question.
That'll be very important to members of this council. So if you
Yeah,
Understood. The property has a lot of history,
Right.
and we're very excited to kind of give it new life.
thank you. Any other council members have questions?
I think I do. I'm kind of curious. It says 10 semi-trucks per day, so I'm guessing maybe those are coming down Pendleton Pike from either direction. Are there any concerns with that? That's kind of a sharp turn there. They've got that funky pass-through that goes on 59th Street. Is there any talk of redoing that?
Mr. Meyer actually met with the infrastructure folks here. They are not in control of all the roadways. We have a civil engineer, American Structure Point, who is communicating directly with the Department of Public Works. We have a separate petition that relates to the old 2004 zoning and commitments, and that had to do with some of the questions you're talking about infrastructure-wise. We met with Mr. Callaway last week, and we are having the civil engineer coordinate requisite right-of-way, what turn lanes might look like in and out of the property, et cetera. I don't have the answers to that. We anticipate having that solved within the next month
Okay, I
or
appreciate
so.
that.
So we do not foresee, and if Mr. Meyer wants to answer, we don't see any problem given the volume of traffic accessing the site as is.
I have a few questions, if I may.
Absolutely.
And it's probably in the handout. I just haven't had a chance to really go through it. The structure that you're going to build there, how many square foot is that building going to be?
It's a little less than 110,000, 109,380.
What exactly will they be doing in that building?
Well, they will do everything that a headquarters building in this industry offers. So they'll have office space, they'll have engineering design space, they'll have manufacturing space, storage, distribution space.
So they will do manufacturing there,
They will do manufacturing.
be it injection molding and whatever else?
I think, Mr. Meyer might be better suited to answer that. I know that some of what they do is thermoforming, which is custom molding,
Right.
using heat to create product for their customers.
I'm a little familiar with injection molding and the processes and stuff, but I can't think of any reason or any problem to the environment by that process other than just ventilation of the building, but I don't think that
Correct.
would cause a problem to the surrounding area, I don't imagine. But how many people also would be employed there? Do you have any idea for that number?
Yeah, as I mentioned, and maybe I brushed through it quickly,
I may not have heard.
there are 80 employees today, and predicted 18 additional to be hired in the future.
Will that be at that site?
At that site, and there is also room to the west to expand for, if business is great.
Right.
There is room to the west to expand as well.
Well, Meyer Plastic is currently over off, 65th Street in it, or?
Benford.
Yeah, and so you don't have, this will be your first endeavor in our city, I take it, right? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other counselors?
I'm just curious. So if this is approved this evening, do you have a timeline when you hope to see this completed, the move from the old location to the new?
I'll let Mr. Meyer answer that.
I don't know all the formalities of addressing you, so I'll just answer the question directly. But, if everything works out the way we'd like it to work out, then we would start construction in July and then move in February.
Okay,
So that's the grand plan.
thank you.
Any other counselors? Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
Are there any remonstrators present? If so, you have 15 minutes. Okay, there is none. Anyone care to do a rebuttal? I didn't think so. Is there a motion on the floor?
We got staff,
Oh, staff.
DMD.
I'm sorry. You're hiding over there.
Larry Calloway, City of Indianapolis, Department of Metropolitan Development, 200 East Washington Street, 46204. We're recommending approval of this petition. Basically, we feel it's a reasonable fit into the site. The I-3 zone, although not consistent with the comprehensive plan, which recommends community commercial, we don't feel is a outlier here. There is some I-3 zoning just to the southwest on the south side of 59th Street, west of German Church Road. And additionally, the southern third of the site would still remain as C4 zoning, which is compliant with the plan. So for those reasons, we feel that it is a reasonable request based on those surroundings. We did have some information here or questions and concerns which were alluded to regarding traffic and road improvements and things like that. There are actually two other pending petitions for the site, one being a special exception that's going to be heard by the Lawrence Board of Zoning Appeals in May 15th, and that's because this business is technically classified in the heavy industrial district, though it's kind of one of those borderline kind of definitional issues that put it in that category, which we have no problem with and support that as well. And then there's a modification petition that's going to be it's scheduled to be heard tomorrow at the hearing examiner level down at the City County building, but it's going to be continued, as was alluded to, for a month to continue conversations about the possible right-of-way commitments and other issues related to those commitments. And so it should be continued for a month, I believe, to give us more time to continue those discussions with the Department of Public Works and come to some resolution of that modification petition. So the commitment that I've included in the staff report, I'm basically withdrawing that from this request, and we'll deal with that as part of the modification. And so we're recommending approval without any commitments or conditions at this point. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Calloway, the businesses that are directly to the west, I believe like Impro Manufacturing, Trusty Cook, their neighbors there, are they not industrial zoning there?
Yeah, it's zoned I-2 to the west. This is I-3 they're proposing. So, but like I said, there is I-3 across the street to the south. And there's industrial actually to the east as well, I-2 zoning.
That's all adjoining property, isn't it?
Creditplex to the north is zoned I-2. So yeah, there's industrial zoning around. It's not like it's the only industrial zoning, yes.
Right.
So
thank you.
And I also would note that this, after your decision tonight, this petition would be forwarded to the Metropolitan Development Commission for its May 16th, 2018 hearing, just for the record.
Okay, any other counselors? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to circle back around and ask again, any rebuttals?
No further comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so it was recommended by the zoning committee to approve. It was recommended
No,
by,
just recommend by the zoning committee to hear it.
I'm sorry, to hear it. And then it was recommended by staff. Is there a motion on the floor?
We're just going to approve. We're just going to vote by ballot, right?
We can. Sure.
If you would like to vote by ballot, go ahead and do so at this time.
Go for it.
Yeah, just put abstain on it. You always vote by ballot, right?
I don't remember.
20, what's the date?
5th.
We want to do like one a year.
I know.
Life is flying by.
Getting old.
You always do ballots. You always- This is yours, right? Seven ballots were cast, 6 to grant, and 1 abstain. This petition is granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Pace the game.
Can I have that paper back?
Yes.
So I'll keep it for the next time.
I wrote notes on it, Kathy.